Okay guys, we are here to do the 1930s DBQ document set 2, where you do document 4, document 6, and document 5. Let us first look at document 4, and we're going to take a peek at the source. We've got Time Magazine, 1932, so we know that this is at the end of Hoover's presidency. Large group, highlighter would help. Large group of World War I veterans gathered in Washington, D.C., so we know that this is the bonus army. That's not an M. We tried. And that's what we're looking for at the end of Hoover's presidency. Alright, let's take a look and see what question we're being asked. What was likely to happen to the bill when it passed the House and went to the Senate? And then we're looking at one part of the economy that had already benefited from government spending. Okay. Last week, the House of Representatives surrendered to the siege of the Bonus Expeditionary Force encamped near the Capitol. It voted 226 to 175 to take the bill by Texas Congressman Patman for immediate cashing of the Adjustment Service Compensation Certificates, which is just a fancy way of saying their bonuses at the cost of $2.4 million in printing press money. The first test of the bonus booster's strength indicated that the House would probably pass the bill and send it to the Senate. In that, there were 56 senators, which is a majority, who were said to be lined up against the bonus. But even should the measure somehow get by Congress, an insurmountable veto awaited it at the White House. And that's your answer to 4A. So it was likely to pass the House. It was not going to pass the Senate. And even if it did, the president would veto it. Largely ignorant of the legislative process, the bonus army camped some 1,500 strong on the Anacostia mudflats, was delirious with delight at the House victory. Its tattered personnel, destitute veterans who had bummed their way to the Capitol from all over the country, whooped and pranced about among the crude shelters. Most of them had left hungry wives and children behind. They had gone to Washington because, long jobless, they had nothing better to do. In camp with the American Expeditionary Force, fellows again, they seemed to have revived the old ganging spirit of army days as an escape from reality. They convinced themselves that they were there to right some vague wrong, a wrong somehow bound in the fact that the government had already opened its treasury banks to the railroads and the banks, and it was likely to close to needy individuals. When the House voted to take up their bill, they slapped one another on the back, and they were quite sure they would be getting their money in a few days to take home. So your answer to 4B is right here, hidden in a whole bunch of reading. It is the banks and the railroads that they had already opened their economy to. You only need one of those, but you've got it. Document 6, we are looking at the veteran score ousting the bonus army and Republican prosperity. This is October of 1932, and the New York Times is a newspaper. So we are looking for one political impact of what Hoover did to the bonus army on politics. So let's see what was reported. Clark Booth, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, declared he had been a Republican all his life up to 4 days ago and was vice chairman of the Hoover campaign in 1928 for the Mobile District, but Hoover's action in calling out the troops against the Washington veterans made me a Democrat, and I will take the stump against Hoover. William Taylor, a veteran of World War I, who is also a member of the Alabama legislature, delivered the chief attack against Hoover in offering a resolution which passed unanimously. He declared that if Hoover called out the troops to keep lobbyists of Wall Street from the White House, there would be no depression, adding to that the veterans who had gathered in Washington were only there to attempt to get what they were entitled to. The Democrats will make Hoover pay on Inauguration Day with the aid of the veterans. The president can go back to his home, Mr. Taylor declared. So one political impact, you have Republicans becoming Democrats. That is huge. They were so angry with what Hoover did that they are now becoming Democrats, abandoning their political party. That is not good news for Hoover. All right, final document. We have Patrick Hurley, the Secretary of War, July of 1932. He is writing to General MacArthur. So your question is, what was MacArthur ordered to do? The President has just informed me that the civil government of the District of Columbia has reported to him that it is unable to maintain law and order in the district. You will have United States troops proceed immediately to the scene of disorder, cooperate fully with the District of Columbia police force, which is now in charge, surround the affected area and clear it without delay, turn over all prisoners to the civil authorities. In your orders, insist that any women and children who may be in the affected area be accorded with every consideration and kindness. Use all humanity consistent with the due execution of this order. So, MacArthur was supposed to go and help out, proceed immediately, and surround the affected area and clear it without delay, turn over all prisoners, and then treat any women and children with kindness while using humanity. We know he did exactly the opposite of that because they used tear gas, they used fire, there were 2 killed, and they dragged these people, these veterans, off of the front lawn of the White House. So humanity, not really used, but your answer there, you got a few ways, a few methods that MacArthur was supposed to use. As you're moving through these documents, if you have any questions, you know what to do. Email me.